Hi guys! Today I am making flatbread. It's just another way of making pizza. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I'm very fond of pizza. It's one of my favorite foods. So I thought I would try out a cheaper way of making some flatbread pizza to save some money. That would be cheaper than getting delivery or even getting some frozen pizza. So the dough is the part that I started with. That to me is always the hardest part. Some pizzas take a little more time, but I found this recipe that doesn't call for yeast. Its ingredients are really basic and simple. And honestly, I didn't have any yeast in my house, so I was looking for a dough recipe that didn't call for yeast. And I was really happy that I found this. So the instructions use a food processor. But like any dough, you can use a food processor, or you can just knead it by hand and just mix it the old-fashioned way. You are going to need a rolling pin. And I love how the instructions just have photos for every step. And I love how they have a little flatbread versus pizza. So it seems like the biggest deciding factor whether you're calling it a flatbread or a pizza is whether you're using some yeast. And it does talk about freezing, and these actually do freeze really well. I used one flatbread immediately for a pizza meal, and I put the other three into the freezer, and they thaw out and they taste just as good as fresh. So definitely love that about this recipe. And you can top it with just about anything. It's basically a pizza dough recipe, so once you got the dough and it's already cooked, you can basically put any toppings that you want on it. And here are the ingredients. So flour, salt, water, olive oil. So a really simple recipe that I think just about anybody can do. And I'm a big fan of simple recipes. All right, here's the ingredients that I have. This is the flour and the salt, the olive oil, and the water. So I made a well in the flour. I usually make a well with the dry ingredients just to make it easier to incorporate. So there is the olive oil. And there is the water. So the well makes it so you can start stirring and it'll slowly incorporate the ingredients. It just makes the stirring process just a little bit easier. And if you're mixing it by hand, it's going to look a little bit clumpy right after you're finished stirring. But then you knead it together with your hands, and it comes together really easily. So I definitely love that about this recipe. And the recipe says just to divide them into 2 balls. So it depends what you're trying to accomplish. You know, if you want just a really big flatbread for a family, 2 balls will do. But I was thinking these are just for personal pizzas for me. So I divided the balls again just to make them a little bit smaller. So after I rolled out one of the balls, that's what they look like. And then I pierce them with a fork as the instructions say. And you just put them in the oven until they start to brown just a little bit. So you're giving the dough a head start on the cooking is what you're doing, just to be sure the dough actually does get well cooked. And then it's up to you how you want to top it. So I'm using some hummus and tomatoes and some onions and some kale. And for the cheese, I'm using some mild white cheddar. So the instructions say you're supposed to just top it with a little bit of olive oil and then put on your toppings. I'm a big fan of hummus, and I figured the hummus already had some oil in it, so that's what I used. And it just looks really beautiful right out of the oven. And for the crust, it's a little bit doughy, like hand tossed pizza would be. But you can certainly roll it out even thinner and make it a crispy crust if that's what you like. So lots of options with this dough recipe. And there's what it looks like when it's cut up into smaller pieces. And it freezes really well, so I really love that. So I've got a few extras in my freezer, and they're just really easy to pull out of the freezer and put on some toppings, and you can just bake it for like 10 minutes, and there's a really easy meal after work. So I will definitely be making this again. Thank you everybody for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.